This is seismic. This is huge. In a sense, this is bigger than Jenrick. This is a nightmare on roller skates for Kemi Badenoch. The Tories don't get it. It's game over. Andy Burnham is a preening charlatan. He is a career-minded, narcissistic egomaniac. Starmer is a traitor to this country. But what's scary is that if someone like Andy Burnham came in, things would be even worse. Honestly, he's a disgrace. He's a spoiled brat. Well, you know, I've got the path to peace for Harry.
Have you?
He needs to go to his father and his brother, and he needs to say, I've got some news for you.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Espresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, and as always on a Monday I'm joined by the Royal Executioner, Mark Dolan. Marky Mark, welcome once again.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, mate. Let's just get straight into it. Suella Braverman has defected to Reform. We kind of all knew it was going to happen. I didn't think it would be this quickly after Jenrick, just did last week.
No, Reform have got momentum. This is seismic. This is huge. In a sense, this is bigger than Jenrick. Because Robert Jenrick has only really come to public attention in the last few months with those very high-profile videos on X where he's accosting people that won't pay their train fare.
Yeah.
And he's going up to Birmingham and pointing out what an absolute mess it is up there and how badly the country is being run. So Jenrick has made headlines in recent months, but Suella is an established national figure. She's a household name politician. She's been Home Secretary. She is a central figure in the Conservative movement of the last decade. And she's just joined Nigel Farage's insurgent political party. Everyone in the country knows who Suella Braverman is. She's brave, she's noisy, she's fearless, she's a headline-making machine. And she's now going to be gunning for Reform UK. I think this is going to give them huge momentum. I think they'll never be out of the press. She's got the profile and she's got that background as a sort of central Conservative figure. This is a nightmare on roller skates for Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah.
This is a huge setback. I'm sick and tired of being told, the Conservatives are the most successful political party in the history of Western democracy. And, Kemi's good at PMQs. So she's good for half an hour a week on a show that no one watches.
Yeah.
The Tories don't get it. It's game over. And the defection of Suella Braverman is catastrophic for the Tories. What's happening? The Conservatives are leaving the Conservative Party. And what remains? A bunch of Lib Dems, a bunch of wets, a bunch of woke liberals who have actually destroyed this country.
Well, I think, oddly, I think this is good news for Zach Polanski and the Greens. Because Suella Braverman, to many people, is Miss Divisive. She's more Reform than Reform. And actually, I said that to Robert Jenrick when we interviewed him last week, that she is more far-right than anyone, I think.
She called the boat crossings an invasion.
She called them an invasion.
And she was the first person to invoke that language here in the UK political scene.
Yeah. And she said that the Rwanda scheme was her dream. It was her dream to see people go on those flights to Rwanda. But also, don't forget, she was sacked twice. She's big on rhetoric, but she was sacked twice within 14 months by two different PMs. She's not actually that great at doing her job, it would seem. If you're fired twice by two different bosses, that would suggest to me there's something wrong with you.
Well, that's right. But, politics is a messy business. And she had a lot of battles with various Conservative prime ministers, including Boris Johnson, in her efforts to curtail immigration. And she wasn't listened to. And I think that the truth will out now. First of all, the interview of the week has been you and Robert Jenrick. It was so good because I watched that and I'd heard stuff from Jenrick on this show that I've not heard anywhere else. The gloves were off and he was ruthless about his own political party. You're going to get that times 100 from Suella.
Yeah.
She knows where the bodies are buried. She is a bigger figure within the Conservative Party than Jenrick ever was and ever will be. And that's why this is such a scalp. Now, I realise that she's out of favour in recent times, but that doesn't matter. Everyone knows who she is and she's been feisty. But yeah, she's going to now tell us exactly what's been going on with the Conservative Party, how woke they are, and how many barriers they erected in her efforts to secure our borders and to control immigration. Priti Patel's quite different. Priti Patel has dug in and is defending the record of the Conservatives over 14 years. Suella has not. She's not defended anything. She said it's been a disaster and we should all hang our heads in shame. And I think that she'll go over to reform. She's now got to be odds-on shadow Home Secretary with a message which is, yes, I was Home Secretary before, but I'm back, and this time it's personal.
I think the most common thing I hear from people about the amount of Tories going to reform is that, oh, this is just the Tories 2.0. But the Tories they've taken are Tories that I would say they're of the most conservative. They're proper.
Yeah, the proper Conservatives. It's the real Conservatives. That's what Reform UK are. And Nigel has to be very careful because someone like Nadeem Zahawi was a little bit of a dicey option because he was responsible for those illiberal vaccine mandates in the course of the pandemic. No one objects to the fact that this medication was available for a serious illness, absolutely. But the way it was rolled out in a very unconservative way is a big problem for many Reform UK supporters. But Suella, listen, what she's going to do, she'll bring profile to the party. You know, she is, like I said, a headline-making machine. She is going to be all over this like a rash. And another, by the way, big ego, another big personality within Reform, right? It is actually sort of the UK politics Harlem Globetrotters, right? It's the right-wing all-stars.
Yeah.
You got Jenrick with his viral videos. You got Nigel Farage, the most consequential politician of his generation that's never been in power.
Yeah.
You got Richard Tice, who led the party previously and is a nationally known figure. Zia Youssef, who takes no prisoners.
Yeah.
The list goes on of these really, really substantial figures. And you add Suella into that mix, they're going to be the most talked about political party in the country.
Suella had been a paid-up member of the Tory party for 30 years.
There you go.
I think her joining Reform now, and there's probably at least a couple more Tory MPs who are going to join them before the cut-off point. I think this is now the official end of the Tory party. I can't see them coming back from it. I think at the next general election, I think they're going to get a massive loss. They're going to lose even more seats. And I think, unfortunately, this may be the end for them.
Well, yeah. I mean, can you think of any high-profile figures within the Conservative Party now on that shadow front bench? Because I can't. You've got the likes of... I'm struggling away, but Mel Stride, Shadow Chancellor. Who? Yeah. Even his own mother doesn't know who he is. Right? I mean, seriously, I'd rather have Mel Gibson as Shadow Chancellor. I go through that Shadow Cabinet. You've only got Kemi. The issue you got with Kemi, right? She's actually an impressive politician. She's on the right of the Tory party. So she's the perfect leader for the wrong party.
Yeah.
So she needs to head over to Reform as well. I mean, that would be a slam dunk. It ain't going to happen, of course. I've interviewed so many Conservatives on my Talk TV show, and they just don't get it.
Really?
Yeah, they are in that establishment bubble. And, for example, just the other day, I had Kevin Hollinrake on.
Oh, yeah.
He's a nice guy, by the way.
He did great with the postmaster scandal.
Yes.
He's fought for that.
He's a decent man, and he's an intelligent guy, and he's a gentleman as well. So I've got no personal issue with him. But I said to him on the show, is it time to put British people first? Is that an appropriate political slogan? Was Brits first? And he wouldn't be led on that. He couldn't say out loud,
wow.
Britain. And by the way, what I meant by that was I meant British people, multi-ethnic British people born in this country. I don't care what colour your skin is or what your religion is, but just British people.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be willing to say that because obviously it's far right. They don't get it.
Yeah, they're out of touch. They're completely out of touch. But let's go to the opposite number, Labour, and our supreme leader, Starmer, putting his foot down and blocking Andy Burnham from running as an MP. Yeah. Now, is this Starmer being strong and smart and showing, don't mess with the Starmer? Or is this Starmer just being a coward and being meek and saying, oh, actually, I don't want to be challenged. Please. No, you can't run.
I think it's the latter, and I think that is about that impression of Starmer has got legs, baby. Gonna work on that. Rory Bremner.
Watch out.
Over your shoulder, yeah, maybe. So I think it's the latter because politics is all about messaging, and if you are blocking a candidate from participating in a by-election, a very well-known, high-profile, popular candidate that will probably win the seat for you. If you're blocking that figure in Andy Burnham, then the messaging is that you don't want him to be in the House of Commons. Why? Because he's a threat to your leadership. So politics is all about messaging. And therefore, if you want the appropriate messaging of strength, then what Starmer should do is say, Andy Burnham is a huge talent. And if he wants to run in this by-election, sign me up. If he thinks he can bring his talents to the House of Commons, then I'm all over that. And the other thing is that if he gets in the House of Commons, he's going straight in my cabinet. Look what he's done in Greater Manchester. And probably the trickiest brief at the moment is Home Secretary, because the illegal crossings are through the roof. We've got backlog of the court system is a disaster. We've got antisocial behaviour. We've got shocking property crime that you're going to tell us about. Personal story. A little bit in a minute. But so what you should do is love bomb the guy. Go, I'm a huge fan. I'm his biggest fan. And I'm going to make him Home Secretary, because then, of course, what would happen is he'd get found out. Because I'm going to tell you that I take the view that Andy Burnham is a preening charlatan.
Really?
Yeah, he is a career-minded, narcissistic egomaniac. Because everything is about Andy Burnham. It's the Andy show. Don't give me this guff about what a great mayor of Manchester, Greater Manchester he was. Being a mayor, this is not the same. It's not like a mini prime minister. It's a relatively small budget, and you've got, obviously, you can stimulate, local business activity, and you can, get the planning laws so that there's a few more houses built, a couple of skyscrapers, fine, and then of course policing, and you say to your, police commissioner, come on, let's sort out these mobile phone thefts. But it's a smaller budget. A lot of it is quite ceremonial. It's quite front of house. You're representing the area, the region. By the way, it's a great platform to become Prime Minister. I could draw your attention to Boris Johnson, who similarly, as Mayor of London, elevated his status and his profile without having really the toughest job in the world. And Boris did it. Boris' achievements in London were all as a result of good people under him, like Kit Malthouse, who sorted out crime. So I think that I would say that the share price of Andy Burnham is a little too high. I think he's overpriced off the back of that Manchester mayor job. But he is a much better communicator than Keir Starmer. He's quite photogenic, he's I think a bit of a housewife's favourite. He comes across as a normal person, but he just isn't. This is snake oil. The guy is just another of those politicians that doesn't care about ordinary people. He cares about himself. He wants to be Prime Minister. And I think the optics of this are terrible, right? It's a big problem for readers of The Express and viewers of this show, because you got Starmer, who was just desperate for power. No plan for power, but spent years plotting to become Prime Minister. Then you've got the Mayor of Greater Manchester, who's indulged in this elaborate cockfight with him to take over the top job. Do we have any idea how they differ politically? Have you heard about Andy Burnham's policies? What would he do as Prime Minister?
So Estimate Vase told me that Andy Burnham is Starmer. He said that he dresses better and he speaks better, but he's the same as Starmer. And that when he used to be an MP and be in the House of Commons, he used to wear these lovely Armani suits, and he was
he loves himself.
Long lunches and being wined and dined. Then he goes back up north and so he's wearing a Barber jacket and a pair of chinos and some rough boots, and he's like, "Nah, I love it up here in the north, king of the north." Nah, it's one big facade.
There are lots of videos circulating of him saying how committed he is to the role of Mayor of Greater Manchester, and so therefore it's a problem. And Starmer, so the messaging is Starmer is running scared. Starmer is a traitor to this country. This is a guy that's trying to hand over militarily sensitive, commercially viable sovereign land in the Chagos Islands. He's a guy that tried to reverse Brexit as shadow Brexit secretary and is now going to reverse Brexit by 1,000 cuts with our improved deal with the European Union. This is a guy that's a traitor to the country by allowing illegal immigration to explode, by axing the Rwanda plan. If the Rwanda plan had reduced illegal immigration by 5%, it would have been worth it. He said, I'll get rid of it even if it works. So this is a guy that works against the interests, I believe, of the British people. But what's scary is that if someone like Andy Burnham came in, things would be even worse.
You think so?
I really do. And the reason why is because if you're going to become the leader of the Labour Party and therefore Prime Minister, you're going to have to be more left-wing than Starmer, which is going some. And the reason being, those backbenchers are on the left. And we know that, for example, because I try on this show, as you know, to be positive about some things that this government does. I think that Shabana Mahmood is a decent Home Secretary who's made some great noises on indefinite leave to remain.
Yeah.
And I actually do think she feels it's her purpose on earth to tackle illegal immigration. I think they'll fail because of ECHR and everything, but she does seem to actually care. But similarly, and Starmer was trying to do the right thing with reducing the scope of disability benefits to the tune of about $5 billion. Those left-wing backbenchers thwarted him.
Yes.
So the people behind him are more left-wing than he is. He's got to get, whoever becomes the next leader of the Labour Party has to get 80 of those people to put them into a ballot. So you have to be left-wing to keep them happy. And then the grassroots are more to the left of Starmer as well. So what will have to happen, and I say this with no pleasure whatsoever, but Andy Burnham, he's not an authentic politician. This is previously he was an acolyte of Tony Blair.
Yeah.
He was a absolute on the right of the party, ultra Blairites. And now he reckons he's, to the left of Che Guevara, and it's political cynicism. But he's been talking about wealth taxes and about building more council houses and all the rest of it. So what you're going to have if he wins power is he will try to have a more left-wing agenda than Keir Starmer, which is very difficult considering that the economy is more or less effectively bankrupt and that, socialism doesn't work. So basically, Starmer's looking over his shoulder. Be careful what you wish for, because the alternative will be worse.
Burnham can't stay on as Mayor of Manny now. Surely not.
No.
You've made your intention clear. You want to go back to London, Westminster, and become an MP. How can you now stay in the job and pretend like you're dedicated to it when you've just tried to leave it?
You can't. I mean, it's a little bit like you saying to Mrs. Anisiobi, the very lucky lady, luckiest lady in the world. Let's be clear about that.
Hello, Lala.
She's pinching herself. And it's like you saying, actually, I want a divorce. And then that other lady you had going on the side, suddenly she's good. The trails run cold a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? The mistress is off ski. And you go back to the wife going, actually, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can we restart this thing? So no, it's really, really awkward for him. But he's shameless. So he will go back, and he reckons he's totally focused on that job now. Focused until the next by-election. Starmer has won the battle, not the war. And Andy Burnham is waiting in the wings. There will be other by-elections. We've got a long way to go, 3 years at least of this Labour government. And he's waiting to swoop. What it's done is it's increased his stock price. It's made him a martyr.
Yeah.
He's been thwarted. And what it's also done is it's completely stoked the civil war within the Labour Party.
Yes.
And how dare they criticise the Tories for years of infighting? They're even worse.
Yeah. Well, look, before we continue, if you think we've earned it, give us a like and a subscribe, please. Marky Mark, moving on to your favourite couple now. Harry and Meghan. So he was in court last week. We discussed it and you went down there. Turns out his stalker was there too.
Yeah. And it is quite serious. Of course, it's great news for Harry in his battle with the Home Office for armed protection.
Yes.
And the Sussexes being very mindful of public relations and how they're perceived. They're going to be leveraging this to within an inch of its life. Harry's like, I've got to have protection now. There's that lady over there staring at me.
That is a fantastic impression of Harry.
It's uncanny, isn't it? So he is gonna leverage this. He's gonna weaponize it. He's gonna exaggerate the threat because he is desperate for those armed cops. By the way, my royal insiders tell me the reason why Harry wants the armed security has got nothing to do with his safety, because let's not forget he loves going to war zones like Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right? You're worried about his safety, but I'll just go somewhere where there are Russian bombs raining over Kyiv.
Yeah.
Now, he's so worried about his safety, but he goes to Colombia, he goes to Mexico, he goes to Lesotho and all these other places, which, by the way, lovely places, great people, but they are famously a little hazardous.
Yeah.
But I've been told by those that know Harry well that this is about having the court of Prince Harry. This is about the flex of going, arriving at Heathrow and being flanked by armed cops. It's his ego. It's his sense of entitlement. His little posse, like a rapper with like 50 assistants. And this is, Harry is so attached to his royal patronage, which is why it's a complete joke that he claims to want privacy and that he had an awful time as a frontline serving royal. If it was so awful, stop calling yourself Prince Harry and stop asking for armed protection when you're UK. I thought you were a private citizen now. So anyway, going back to this stalker, I will say that it is a worry because it's a serious crime, stalking, and it's unnerving, and isn't it telling that the authorities can't do anything about it because this woman has not technically broken the law, this alleged stalker. And she sat there in the public gallery in the High Court, which she's entitled to do. Clues in the name, it's a public gallery. Yeah. So it's actually difficult for cops because what you probably would want to do if we were in a lawless sort of setting would be just to go, that basically she's always here. Get rid. Yeah. But, we have the rule of law, and so she's entitled to. It's a little bit concerning. And there have been some other commentators that have sort of suggested that Harry's invented this stalker, he's made it up, that it's fake news. And I think that's unfair and wrong. I think anyone that's had a stalker will tell you that it's traumatic, whether you're famous or an ordinary person. I was a former government minister, Conservative government minister, who held the sword for King Charles, Penny Mordaunt. She's just been in court dealing with the stalker as well. So it's no fun. So for the first time ever on this show, and the last time, I'm going to tell you that I feel a bit sorry for Prince Harry.
Whoa, that is a world exclusive first. Jeez.
You don't want someone trailing you around the place. It's been reported that this individual may have mental health issues. And I'm sure that King Charles will be concerned as well, because here's the thing. I am the first to call out Harry's hypocrisy, his double standards, his selfishness, his traitorous behaviour towards the royal family, his lies about the royal family. I honestly, he's a disgrace. He's a spoiled brat, but nobody should face physical peril. No one should be stalked. No one should face any kind of threats. And Harry is a very, very globally known figure. He's the son of the United Kingdom. And this is, by the way, another issue where I've got to say I've disagreed with some of the viewers of the Mark Dolan show, my YouTube channel, which focuses on the royals. And although I say this with a heavy heart, I would actually give him the armed protection.
Why?
And the reason why is because at no point did he choose to be the son of the King of the United Kingdom. And you can become a private citizen and leave the country, give up your royal duties, fine, but you're still King Charles's son. So in the eyes of a bad actor, you're a target. So that's but I think what he should do is I think he should be forced to contribute to the cost.
Well, I think I disagree that he should be given armed protection. I don't think he should. I think whether you're The Rock or Tom Cruise, all these people have crazed fans. Some of them have stalkers. They have to have lots of bodyguards with them. I think that's adequate. And if Tom Cruise comes to the UK, as it's happened with the Beckhams, it's happened even with Katie Price, when the police have got information they think is actually credible, they then alert your security team to it and say, yes, this is the incident that could potentially happen. Just so you're aware, you probably shouldn't go to this premiere tonight because we're not going to be able to protect you. And that's it. I think that's how it should be.
No, I do hear you. And, I make a point of sometimes expressing a view that may go against what people that often agree with me is. And on paper, I share all of that. The issue you got, can you imagine if something happened to Harry in London or Birmingham or somewhere else on British soil? I mean, it would be the scandal of the century if, God forbid, he faced serious mortal peril. And what would it do for the royal family and the authorities? It would become political. It would just be wild.
He can afford to pay for the world's greatest security forces to look after him, with or without weapons. He can afford to pay for it. He's made over 100 million, him and Meghan, since they quit the royal family. For me, it's not something the public should be footing the bill for, which is what you're saying anyway, that he should pay for it himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think maybe he could pay half or contribute. But look, your view is the one shared by the vast majority of the viewers of my YouTube show, the vast majority, I would have thought, of the viewers of the Daily Espresso as well.
I think so.
And I think, I think look, the main headline is let's just hope that none of those things happen, because
Absolutely.
like I say, my great pleasure is having a go at this guy. But what I want him to do is stay on the planet, and just be held to account. And you know what? Maybe one day say sorry.
I don't think that's going to happen. Not publicly anyway. Unless he wants to come on Daily Espresso and we can do it here.
Well, I've got the path to peace for Harry.
Have you? Mm-hmm. What is it?
Because people have said, no apology will be enough, and that's absolutely right. He needs to go to his father and his brother, and he needs to say, I've got some news for you, which is I'm going to divorce Meghan Markle. And I offer up this divorce as my genuine olive branch, because we're always hearing about olive branches, aren't we? We've had a forest of olive branches. Which mainly involve Harry. Sorry, but not sorry. A bit of a non-apology, And he needs to go to the palace and say, I'm going to divorce her. And it all went wrong when I met her, which is true.
Oh, so just blame her for everything.
Yeah, throw her under the bus. She's the sacrificial lamb. My husband. I call him H. But that's the only way. That's the only path to peace is they divorce. Mm-hmm. And because, family politics are the same as party politics. It's essentially you've got your fool guy, that would be Meghan, and he said, look, this is real change. Because the issue is there will never be a peace deal between Harry and the royal family as long as he's married to Meghan Markle. It's impossible, because even if Harry, which is unlikely, has a road to Damascus moment, even if Harry wakes up and realizes, okay, I've been in the wrong for all these years, it doesn't matter. He's got someone close to him who wishes ill on the royal family. Meghan Markle wants to destroy the royal family. It's a scorched earth policy. And she's the one that coached him through that through the Oprah Winfrey interview. She's the one that coached him through the documentary in which she mocked Queen Elizabeth and Harry sat there like the ground should open beneath him. Mm-hmm. She's the one that pretty much wrote Spare. She's been the one driving all the animosity.
Her a lot of credit, man. I don't know if how smart she is.
She's the they used he used a leading ghostwriter, but all of the messaging. She's the one that's engineered this, stage managed the war on the royal family. Oof. And I think that as long as they're married, there will be no peace deal between the royals. If he's a divorced single man that comes back to live in England and just visits his kids every couple of weeks in California, I think you would see the tectonic plates shift dramatically. But it's all about if they divorce, not when.
Wowzers. Well, let's go to Meghan. She gave a speech at the Sundance Film Festival for this new film they're promoting, Cookie Queens. Here's a synopsis. It's Girl Scout cookie season, and 4 tenacious girls strive to be a top-selling cookie queen, navigating an $800 million business in which innocence and ambition collide. This is a documentary, by the way. This is not some fantastical thing. This is a documentary about girl guides selling cookies. That's it.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? It's pretty wild. And she talks about how she was a girl guide back in the day.
Yeah, and she learned so much about business from being a girl guide.
Of course she did, yeah.
What are you talking about? It's all so worthy. Are you going to watch it?
It's so worthy. I will be hate watching it. And it will turn me to drink. I'm trying to do dry January, but I will be mainlining the whatever the particular beverage is available at the moment. Because this is, of course, very interesting what's happened there, because the Netflix deal, let's not call it a deal, right? We're on the Daily Espresso. This is about truth and justice. Let's not spread like fake news and propaganda. There is no Netflix deal. They have a first look agreement, which means they can pitch terrible ideas to which Netflix will say thanks, but no thanks. Mm-hmm. Netflix are holding out for another documentary. Netflix are playing the long game. Netflix, I've spoken to people in California who take the view in the entertainment industry that Netflix have kept Meghan and Harry just in the golden handcuffs. Not golden, really, just sort of silver, fake silver handcuffs. Because should the couple divorce, they'll get the Meghan documentary, which will go alongside the book Meghan, My Story. So, but at the moment, the Netflix stuff is over. So we know, don't we, season 2 of With Love, Meghan didn't even reach the top 1,000 viewed shows, which is a disaster considering how much publicity it had and a massive budget.
Yeah.
So that ain't coming back. So all they've got now is other productions. And the problem you've got is that they're not in any of their own shows. They're not in this documentary. So it's going to be a complete bomb. They're not filmmakers. I mean, Meghan's not any of those things. Meghan's not a TV host. She wasn't a princess. She wasn't really an actress. You know, there's no end to their lack of talent as a couple. And I'm sure that, by the way, when they watch this documentary, Meghan's like, I have some notes. I'm the executive producer. I have some notes for you. Which is, I enjoyed it, but there was no mention of me in this show. And I thought we could rename the movie Meghan Markle's Cookies. Flour sprinkled. And then Harry's like, oh, I've got some comments as well, you know, which is I didn't think it was boring enough, you know. I'm really boring and sad. I wanted a documentary to be boring and sad as well. Do you know the worst thing, JJ, is that this Meghan gets on stage at the Sundance and she addresses the crowd, attacks them all for being hungover, by the way. She's so obnoxious, that woman. And then she's like talked about female empowerment, right? And that's the big message of the film. So, you know, what exactly is her female message of empowerment? What is she saying to those 8-year-old girls, the little guy? And by the way, we wish them well, right? Smashing kids. Yeah. And, you know, they're trying to make cookies. It's a bit like The Apprentice, like a junior apprentice. They make the cookies and then they're going to try and infiltrate the industry. And they're like bright, talented little girls. And so it's not, you know, the entire premise of the film, I don't have a problem with it. But she's addressing these girls, you know. And what is her message to her? You know, girls, you can be a feminist. You're going to be empowered. And do you know the way you do that? It's very hard. But you're going to have to marry a prince. That's what you gotta do. And that is it, isn't it? That's why I will take no lectures from Meghan about being progressive and about being a feminist. Because what did she do? First of all, she married a powerful Hollywood producer. Yeah. Then she gets the part on Suits, dumps him, sends her rings back by return of post. And then she marries a rich prince. So, you know, it's not exactly Jermaine Greer, is it?
I'm going to take notes of that. That's a great idea. I've got to find a prince. Well, speaking of failures, London. And I'm saying London because this is where I live. But it's the same. You go to any city now in this country and there's crime and there's graffiti, there's antisocial behaviour. This weekend, me and my mate took our kids for their swimming lessons on Saturday morning. After the swimming lesson finished, we parked our bicycles, locked them up. I've got a nice electric bike, doing my part for the green net zero.
No, you're so woke these days.
I'm so woke, bro.
JJ, I'll tell you what.
My friend has one of those Brompton bikes, very sought after. You know, the ones with the small wheels.
Yeah, and they're folding, aren't they?
They're folding.
And they're premium, aren't they? They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. And his 2 kids have got their little bikes with them. So we're chained up. We go to the park. We play in the park for an hour or so. As we're heading back to our bicycles, we see 2 wrong-uns, 2 white guys cutting through the bike chain. They pick up the Brompton bike. We start screaming at them. They leg it. We chase after them. We pin them to the floor. One of them gets away. The one we end up holding down, this little ginger toad. In fact, have a look at this video. So we caught him, and I was incandescent with rage. Yeah. I was fuming. How dare you take something that we have worked so hard for? I know. You know? And the attitude of them was when one of these guys who got away from us stood maybe 50 metres away saying, "Oh, let him go. It's not his fault. Just let him go." Right? It's his fault he got caught. Correct. Absolutely his fault he got caught. So I called the police. And, you know, I call out the Met Police when there's misogyny being reported or sexism or the laddish locker room banter. The Met Police, I think his name was Constable Ainu. He was there within 3 minutes of me hanging up the telephone.
That's good.
Within 3 minutes, he came straight across to put the guy in handcuffs. The guy was in a bit of bad shape, actually, to be honest, because, you know, we had to rest him to the floor. Yeah. He may have broken some ribs. Well, you know, you play silly games, you get silly prizes. But why is it in London and so many other cities that these scroats think they can just go around and break the law. I'll tell you why, Mark, because nothing happens to them.
Correct.
And generally speaking, people would see a bike getting stolen. It's like, I'm not getting involved. More of us have got to stand up and fight back against these people.
Yeah, first of all, props to you and your mate for being so brave.
Thank you.
Because most people do just want a quiet life and they'll just like stand by while it happens. Whereas you manned up and you placed yourself in peril by doing that because you didn't know whether these lads had a knife or a gun or anything. But what you did is you followed your manly instincts, your human instincts, and also your civic instincts. Mm-hmm. Because you can replace your bicycles, can't you?
Yeah.
But I think instinctively at that moment, you're like, this is more than just about the bicycle.
Yeah.
This is about the society that I live in or don't live in. And so I think, first of all, you were really brave. And it's fantastic news that this guy was apprehended because at least that day, he won't commit any more crimes. But as you said, it happens. The barrier to crime is the fear of being caught.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's why I don't have 3 or 4 pints of Stella and then get in the car. Because I just, it's game over. Obviously it's the wrong thing to do as well. But, generally you don't commit a crime because, the consequences would be really bad.
Yeah.
At the moment, right, you're not going to get caught. And then even if you do get caught, you won't get properly punished.
Yeah.
It's the same with shoplifting, which has been decriminalised.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a society where a jar of Nescafe Gold Blend requires an electronic tag, right? It's not a proper country anymore. This is instant coffee we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It's not a Rolex watch.
Yeah.
It's a basket case. So it was really, really shocking, that footage. And I doubt that much serious will happen to that guy. Have you had any comeback?
Yeah, so the cop said to me, they called me up that same evening, and they said he's been wanted for 4 other offences.
Ah.
So they kept him on remand, kept him on in jail. And the funny thing is, I managed to get his phone off him when we had him pinned to the floor. Mm. His phone, because his face was there, opened miraculously. And his mates, who were his accomplices, were doing a group call on WhatsApp.
An emergency meeting.
An emergency meeting. So I could see like 3 or 4 guys in there. One of them had a moped and a helmet on. So obviously these guys were stealing the bikes, giving them to go on the moped. He's going to go and drop them off at the lockup. So I just did a nice screen grab. So all 4 guys' pictures on there. Gave the phone open to the officer. The officer told me that evening that they're now going to today's Monday, yeah. Today they're going to go and get the rest of them. Knock on all their doors. So they're all going to get done. So, and again, huge thanks to the Met Police and Constable Ayunu because they were rapid. So something is actually getting done. But funnily enough, some of the rabid lefties, and I'm a lefty myself, but some of the rabid crazy ones have been on social media saying to me, "You don't know what that guy's been going through. How do you know how he grew up?"
This is unreal.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like I don't care how this guy grew up. I don't care what he's going through. If he chooses to steal my property, he must now deal with the consequences.
Well, this is how pathological the left are, or some on the left, because they have sympathy for people that commit the crimes rather than the victim. Similarly, the left are more worried about someone on a dinghy crossing the channel than a homeless veteran. Mm-hmm. So their priorities are completely wrong. These people are sick, in my opinion. What a strange reaction to an awful criminal and a dangerous man. He's a dangerous man if he's committing those crimes. And so that is crazy. And the other thing to say is, they're not afraid of being caught. They're not that afraid of the consequences. I suspect that when this finally goes to court and everything, I suspect you'll still be disappointed by the sentence. Yeah. Right? It is great, and I don't want to be a party pooper. But, it'll get 3 months community service and then off he goes, you know. But it is better than nothing. And maybe that guy, the ginger so-and-so, I'm not talking about Prince Harry. Maybe he will reflect and he'll wake up and think, okay, I'm going to change my ways. But what was the other thing I was going to say? So, there's another huge problem we've got, which is that you, in some circumstances, could be prosecuted for your actions.
Yes.
And that is actually a risk that you took, which again shows what a hero you are and what a brave man you are and how principled you are, actually. You acted by your values. Mm-hmm. That was the real JJ coming out, and your mate as well. So, and it's great that your kids saw that. That's quite impressive. So, but you could get done for that. And of course you shouldn't be. Are you gonna sort of become a TV cop or something? You're going to replace
You know
Inspector
what?
Morse?
I have. After that, I did think to myself, this is going to be a great sting. We'll just tie up a Brompton bike and we'll sit there with the cameras and we'll wait for the thieves to come and we'll pounce on them. I reckon in one day we could probably get 4 or 5 people locked up.
Yeah, do it, baby. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh, no, but more power to you. So you got your bike. Was it damaged? Were any of the kit damaged? Or
Yeah,
not?
the Brompton bike was damaged quite badly from the back, mudguard torn, lights ripped off and everything.
Oh.
The kids' bike, one of the kids' bike, the rear tyre was now punctured as well, so that's going to have to be fixed.
And it's a bit traumatic for the kids to witness that.
Absolutely traumatic for the kids to see that. And
These
then having to
bad-
explain to them.
I know you're wrapping up. Just one other thing is that technology helps these criminals now because the invention of the lithium-ion angle grinder, right? So in the old days, because I've been riding motorbikes for years, and in the old days, an angle grinder would have to be connected to a power supply.
Okay.
So, if someone wants to steal the bike, they've got to somehow find a plug point.
Yeah.
Now it's handheld. So those angle grinders can get through anything.
Yeah.
There you go.
But don't do what I did. Next time, just call the police if you see that happening.
That's it.
Right. Marky Mark, big thank you once again.
Thank you, JJ.
Whew, I'll see you next week. I feel exhausted. I feel absolutely exhausted. You can find the Daily Espresso on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.